You're welcome to another session of the AT Library Tutorial Python Programming tutorial series. And today's tutorial is going to focus on numbered lists using a function called the range. And this tutorial, as usual, is brought to you by Obed. Okay, so what actually is a numbered list and how are we going to use the range function? The range function actually to generate some numbers. Okay, that's what we are going to do for today. So we are saying that making numerical lists, there are many reasons that exist to store a set of numbers actually. So for instance, when you are visualizing data or in data visualization, you almost always work with set of numbers such as temperatures, distances, population sizes, or latitude and longitude values, among other types of numerical sets. And we are seeing that lists are ideal for storing set of numbers, and Python provides a variety of tools to help you work efficiently with lists of numbers. So, and if you have set of numbers with Python, you can analyze it with several tools. And this tutorial will just take you through just the basic. All right. So, and we are going to use the range function to generate some list of numbers and so that we can perform some operations on them. Now, the range function is a handy tool in Python that helps us create a sequence of numbers. It's like having a list of numbers, but you don't need to store all the numbers in memory at once. What we do is that we generate the numbers as we need them. And in generating the numbers, the range function actually has 3 arguments. Some are optional, and there is one that is mandatory. So it starts, the range function actually has a start, a stop, and a step. The starts actually means that you want the number to specifically start from a particular index. So let's say you wanted to start from 1, you wanted to start from 2, or you wanted to start from 3. So you have to indicate the starting of your numbers. But in situation whereby you don't indicate a start, it means that your number is going to count, or the starting of your numbers will be from 0. So we have the start, we have the stop, and we have the step. The stop, as the word simply means, is to get to a particular section, then the iteration of the numbers stops. So we also have the step. So what actually does these arguments represent? The start, stop, and the step. The start is optional, as I said earlier on. So if you don't give the argument over here, if you don't pass it any numbers to start with, by default, it is going to start from what? 0. Then we have the stop. Okay, so the stop, this is the number that the sequence will go up to, but it won't include this number itself. So actually, if you are saying that it should start from 1 and it should end at 10, it means that the stop, we are supposed to give it a value of what? 11, because we are saying that it is the number that the sequence will go up to, but it won't include this number itself. So if you are saying that the list of numbers should stop at 10 in our range function as an argument that we will be passing into this function, the numbers will keep on iterating, but actually when it gets to 10, it is going to produce 9 because 10 won't be passed. So the sequence will stop just before reaching this number. Now we have the step. The step is optional, right? So let's say you are generating multiples of 2, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, and so forth. So we can say that the range of numbers should start from 2. And actually, let's say the stop is 10, but we are going to step it up with 2. It means that 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 and so forth. So that is the step. The step is like, how many times do you want the first iteration to jump to the second one? Okay, so this is the difference between each number in the sequence. If you don't want, or if you don't specify it, the sequence will go up by 1. So we will just do a demo using our Python IDE, that is the PyCharm, how you can generate some list of numbers, how you can step it up, and how you can perform some operations, let's say maximum, minimum, and let's say addition, that is sum, okay? All right, so we start with a little demo. So that is our IDE, that is PyCharm. And today's program, the program is going to, so I have some comments over here. So let me just erase this. Okay, so this program is going to generate list of numbers using the range function. So the range function. Okay, so what we'll be doing is we will generate list of squares. We are going to generate list of squares of some values. Okay, all right, so let's say we have numbers and we have a list over here, and the numbers we have, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. So yeah, so we have 1. So I'm going to put some list of numbers over here, some values over here. If they were to be string, we will just go ahead and use something like 1, then we have a comma over here. Sorry, then we have a comma over here. So this one we are dealing with what? Numbers. So we remove the quotes over here. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, okay, so 4, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7, we have 8, we have 9, then we have 10. All right, now we are going to say we want the square of all these numbers. That is 2 square becomes 4, 3 square becomes 9, 4 square becomes 16, 6 square becomes 36, 5 square becomes 25. That's what we are going to do in our program. So we have square of numbers, and we don't have any values in there. So we are saying that for values in range, start with 1, okay? Start with 1, loop, just loop up to, we want 11, meaning that it's going to loop, but if you are to print these numbers, the set of numbers will just be 1 to 10. That is, 11 will not be what? Inclusive. Let me just do a print for you to see what we have over here. So print values. Okay, so all right, so it's going to print 1 to 10, and the 1 to 10 is what we have over here. So we are going to find the square of each value over here. So 2 square will be what? 3 square will be what? 4 square will be what? 5 square will be what? That's what we are going to do over here. All right, so we are saying that squares, that is SQAR, so squares is equal to value and 2. So in Python, you know that if you want to raise a number to a particular number, let's say 2 raised to the power 2 is represented with a double asterisk, then you have the number over there. So raised to the power in Python, that is how it is being represented. So we are saying that when values pick 1, it's going to start with 1. So 1 raised to the power 2. It moves to 2. 2 raised to the power 2. It will proceed to 10 because 11 is not part. That is, 11 is not inclusive. So when we have 1 raised to the power 2, it assigns the value to our squares. So whatever is being assigned to the value, the variable over here, that is squares, we are saying that pick our list that we have over here, that is a square of numbers dot append. We already discussed the append, the calling of the append when we started with what? List. It means that we want to populate what we have over here, that is square of numbers, but we want to do we want to populate the values over here using the value over here, that is for squares. So we have scale. So it means that when we have 2 raised to the power 2 giving us 4, 4 comes over here, and we have 4 over here. And this will be pushed into our list, that is square of numbers. Okay, all right. So let me type numbers. Let me move this one, numbers. Okay, all right. So we can say that print numbers first. Okay, so NUM, that is print numbers. Go ahead and also print, that is print square of numbers. Okay, so let me add some text over here. So let's say these are the raw values. These are the raw values. Okay, so next line, then we can see that, okay, I'm using the F format. So these are the square. These are the square of the values. The squares of the values. The squares of the values in this list, that is a square of numbers. All right. So these are the squares of values in the numbers. So when we have square of numbers over here, it is going to represent the squares of the values over here. So you have our numbers 1 to 10. We declared a list over here that is square of numbers, that is 1 square, 2 square, 3 square. But to do that, we are putting it into a loop. We use a for values and a function called what? Range. It means that it should the iterations should start from 1 and end at 10. This is our stop value. This is our start value. And for each of values in range, that is 1, square 8, put it over this variable, put it inside here, this variable. You have 2, square 8, put it into this variable. Now you have square of numbers that append, then you push the values over here. That is what squares, okay? Now, these are the raw values. That is what we have over here. These are the squares of the values. These are the squares of the values showing this. So we are going to print this, okay? So let's go ahead and let's run it. Okay, so there's a problem in line 9. So we are seeing that values, okay. All right, so let's run it again. All right, so these are the raw values. The raw values, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is it. Then we are saying that the squares of the values, so we have 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square 9, 9 squared is what? 81, 10 squared is what? 100. So let's do let's find the minimum, the maximum, and the sum of our square values. Okay, so print Then we use the F format. We can see that the minimum for our square values is, so we use the mean, then we pass it, we have the square of numbers. Then we have our next line. You can see that the maximum for our square values is, so we have max of numbers. We introduce our next line. The sum of our square values is, so we have sum. All right, so let's run this. Okay, so the minimum for our square values is 1, this one. The maximum is 100. As you are seeing, the sum of our square values is what? 385. That is 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 16, 25, all the way towards 100. So this is just a simple demonstration using the range function in Python programming. So in the next tutorial, we'll be talking about slicing, and gradually as we move on to the if statement in Python programming. Okay, so thank you once again for watching this section of the Python programming tutorial series coming from the ATU library. Remember to subscribe to the channel to get more videos from the library, and that will help you to learn Python programming language. All right, thank you. Enjoy your day.